Why did you kill my baby? You ain't got a reason. Mother, you're gonna die in prison.
I cannot take responsibility for something that I did not do.
He sat in the courtroom seemingly untouched by the grief surrounding him, taking no accountability for his crimes. But when the judge finally delivered the sentence, fear flickered in his eyes. "18-year-old Remi Cordova had opened fire on an innocent woman over a minor fender bender, and now his life as a free man was over." February 20th, 2021 was just another ordinary Saturday night for Pamela Cabrias. She was driving home after dinner with a friend, heading back to her 6-year-old son Leo, looking forward to tucking him in and kissing him goodnight. The 32-year-old real estate agent and devoted mother had no reason to think anything was wrong. Little did she know, she would never make it home.
Ahora qué andas haciendo, Pamela? No te descansa la mente a ti.
At a red light near Colfax Avenue at Interstate 25, her car lightly tapped the vehicle in front of her. It was a minor fender bender. However, inside the other car were 3 teenagers looking for trouble. 18-year-old Nishan Johnson was driving. In the passenger seat sat 14-year-old Remi Cordova, a member of the East Side Crips eager to earn his stripes. Another 14-year-old sat in the back. What happened next would destroy multiple families forever. Cordova turned to Johnson and asked a chilling question. "Can I bust on them?" Johnson, a more established gang member, gave him permission. And with that single word, Pamela Cabrias' fate was sealed.
My friend and the passenger asked the person in the driver if he can shoot him. And then the person in the driver said yes, and then he hopped out and shot him.
Cordova stepped out of the car carrying an AR-15 assault rifle. Pamela sat at the red light, completely unaware of what was about to happen. Then, Cordova opened fire.
Listen to me. I know I didn't shoot that gun. I know I didn't, because he even asked Rashawn if he can shoot before he even shot the gun and hopped out.
He shot at least 7 times into her SUV, bullets tearing through her windshield. One struck her in the head. He got back into the car and fired twice more as Johnson sped away from the scene, fleeing into the night while Pamela sat dying in her vehicle. Does a human life mean less than a few fender bender damages? Did Cordova even stop to think?
Ma'am, I'm gonna cut your seatbelt, okay? I'm Officer Lepper with the Denver Police Department, okay?
The driver in the car behind her, a random stranger who had done absolutely nothing, was also fired upon but miraculously escaped unharmed. Pamela Cabrias was rushed to the hospital, but died several days later, never waking up to hold her son one last time.
We just want justice for Pamela, and because her life mattered to all of us.
The next morning, police tracked down the Honda used in the shooting. After a vehicle pursuit, all 3 teenagers were arrested. When officers took Cordova into custody, he denied it all, and mostly kept quiet according to his mother's instructions.
They're asking about somebody named Lil Rowe. Baby D-Row? They said Baby Rowe. I'm sorry, Mom. Stop.
Police found 2 AR-15 rifles in the backseat of the Honda and 16 live rounds of ammunition in a shed where Johnson had been hiding. They also linked the vehicle to a shooting at a McDonald's the night before, where someone had fired 3 times into the restaurant. This wasn't Cordova's first act of violence. It was part of a pattern. Remi Cordova was first charged as a juvenile, but prosecutors quickly pushed to move the case to adult court because of the brutality of the crime. This time, he would face consequences like any adult. The trial began on October 21st, 2024, more than 3 years after Pamela's death. Prosecutors painted a very clear picture. This was a cold-blooded execution by a gang member trying to prove himself. The evidence was overwhelming: ballistics, witness testimonies, everything.
And then I realized, I said, oh shit, something's happening, and I ducked down, and several more happened. I recognized the sound of gunshots, and I thought perhaps one was going to hit me.
But Cordova's defense team tried a different approach. They attempted to shift the blame to the other 14-year-old boy in the car, suggesting he was the real shooter and had falsely named Cordova to avoid his own arrest. They emphasized Cordova's traumatic childhood, years of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, neglect, and violence from the time he was a toddler.
I'm not the monster or the murderer that I have been painted to be by the Denver's District Attorney Office.
They spoke out about Cordova's traumatic childhood and the abuse he had endured for years. His family pleaded for mercy, asking the court to see the broken child behind the crime. His mom took the stand, speaking about her own neglect as a mother and how hard life had been for her son growing up without his father.
He only saw his dad 3 or maybe 4 times out of his life.
But prosecutors weren't swayed. Yes, Cordova had suffered. Yes, he'd endured unimaginable trauma, but that doesn't give him the right to gun down an innocent woman in cold blood.
¿Ahora qué andas haciendo, Pamela?
On November 1st, 2024, the verdict finally came in. Guilty of first-degree murder with extreme indifference. Guilty of second-degree murder. Guilty of attempted murder. The courtroom filled with tears, some of grief, some of relief. For Pamela's family, the truth was now official, but the loss was still unbearable.
Remi Cordova, who you see right there on your screen, was convicted in the shooting death of a 32-year-old woman after a minor car crash, has now been sentenced to life in prison for the first-degree murder charge.
We want him to get a real sentence in a real jail with real consequences.
Sentencing came on December 12, 2024. Cordova stood before Daryl Shockley as Pamela's loved ones filled the courtroom. One by one, they spoke about the woman they had lost, their voices cracking, their tears flowing, their hearts shattered.
You know your daddy loves you very much. It's about your mommy. Mommy died and is no longer with us. Remi's senseless act of pure evil has left our family with a loss that words cannot describe.
And then it was Cordova's turn. He said he was sorry for their pain, but denied responsibility. Even after the verdict, he maintained he wasn't the killer. The words just landed like a slap in the face to Pamela's family. No remorse, no accountability, no humanity. Just cold, calculated denial from a teen who thought he could lie his way out of justice.
I'm terribly sorry for the pain that you guys feel, but I cannot take responsibility for something that I did not do.
Despite his claims of innocence, Cordova was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years, plus additional time for attempted murder. He won't even be eligible for parole until he's in his 60s. One might feel a flicker of sympathy for a teenager facing decades behind bars. But what about the child who lost his mother?
He gets up in the middle of the night screaming and yelling. What about Leo's trauma? What about my mom's trauma?
He took someone's life and denied it until the very end. But now, he will pay the ultimate price. And yet, even after the verdict, the sentence, and the years ahead, one question still lingers. When a child loses his mother forever, does any punishment ever feel like enough?